the aim of this seminar is to actually give you some knowledge as to how to convert your property to a HMO, and also look at the pitfalls or the boundaries, or let's just the hurdles that you have to overcome to be able to license your property correctly and to be able to manage it correctly. Because the most important thing as a landlord is longevity of your tenure of your tenants, right? You want to put in good tenants in, and you want to put in tenants who pay on time. You want to put tenants who look after the property, right? So when you invest into a HMO property or convert a property to a HMO, the first problem that you get is you have a lot of unrelated tenants, right? So in a nutshell, when you have an investment property, you have one single tenancy agreement. When you have a licensed HMO property, what happens is you have the ability, say it's a 3-bed flat, you have 3 rooms plus the living room, you have the ability to issue 4 tenancy agreements, and they will start at different times, different lengths. So the first question is, as a landlord, you might want to ask yourself, why would strangers want to live with each other, right? Can anyone give me a suggestion as to why? Sorry? It's cheaper for them, correct. So these are the benefits of why unrelated tenants will take a property and share. First is flexibility, then the cost, and also the support network that they build. Now imagine you are a tenant who's just arrived in London or Manchester or Birmingham from a different country. You don't know what the city's like. You don't know, where to find jobs, or maybe you found a job or you're a student. This support network is such an invaluable tool for tenants who are sharing that we as landlords we underestimate it quite a lot. Now I'll tell you a story about how I became accidentally a HMO landlord. So 20 years ago, before any regulations about mandatory HMOs, which came in 2006, and selective HMO licenses and additional licenses came into effect 2018, I had a friend who's been a landlord for many, many years. He had a couple of properties, and he said to me, Bux, I've had enough. I just want to sell my properties. Do you want to buy? And I qualified as a financial advisor 20 years ago, and I was trading the stock market. So I had a lot of capital, as in spare capital, to invest. And I thought, right, dividends is fantastic from stocks. You don't need to do anything. Buying a property, you get a rental income, right? Which is good. So I asked him, you're making money. Why do you want to sell? And he said, I've just had enough because I've been renting to people. They trash the place. They don't pay me on time. For me to get them out, it takes such a long time. And in between tenancies, he's got all this void period where he's still paying his mortgage, and he still needs to cover those payments even though rentals are not coming in, and he has to spend that money to refurbish. So I said, right, okay. So accidentally, I said, I became a landlord. I made him an offer I can't refuse in terms of the price. He was more than happy because he had made his capital appreciation, and I became a landlord 20 years ago. Now, having listened to all of his challenges, I did not want to be in the same position. Why would I want to buy a property and get consumed, or why would I want my life to be consumed managing a single property or 4 tenants? Because having a HMO with 4 separate tenancies is the same as managing 4 properties. So I looked at the market and I tried to see what the problem is, or I tried to see what the current market looks like. So I researched, and I had a 3-bed flat in Commercial Road, which is on a busy road. The market rental was about £1,100 to £1,200 20 years ago. So I said, right, I bought this property, I want to make money from it, but at the same time, what solution can I provide to the market where there's a problem? So I had a look on portals like Gumtree, the Loot newspaper. I don't know if some of you are maybe as old as me, you'll know about the Loot newspaper. I had a look, and I pretended to be a tenant, and I had a look around to see what solutions there are, who's offering rooms. Because this room-let market has been around every major city in the world for 30, 40, 50 years. Because of the cost, it's way cheaper for somebody to take a room rather than take a 1-bed flat or 2-bed flat. When I looked at what the competition was offering, I was slightly disgusted, and I saw that all these properties where they're sharers, they are all overcrowded, the communal areas are dirty, the bedrooms are, not so great. So I decided, right, I'm going to do something different. I took my 4 rooms, I decorated it up really nicely. I put bedding in. I put in the communal areas, I put microwaves, toaster, kettle, even an ironing board. So I thought I wanted to give them that hotel experience. So I dressed up my first property 20 years ago, put the photos up online, and within the first day, the first viewing that I did, I had about 15 people turn up, and all my rooms were sold. I did the financial calculations. I said, right, market rental is 1,100. I'm getting something like 2,200. Good deal, right? I've increased my revenues by more than 50%. And after paying all the bills, etc., I was left with a roughly 50% uplift on the rentals. So it was a good deal for me. I purchased a property, I converted it to a HMO accidentally, and the story continues. I kept on buying until a point came in where Cloud Rooms was born, because friends and family were just shoving their properties to me, saying, look, let me manage, I'll let you take the headache on. So that's how the concept grew. Now, moving forward with regards to the benefit for tenants, if you have a single property with 4 rooms in there and you put the wrong tenant in, if you put the wrong tenant in, first, the risk is they may not pay. Secondly, if you put a tenant in and who's not happy with the other tenants, they'll just leave you, and then you have all these void periods. So the Cloud Rooms network, what it does is we have properties all around London. So when we secure a tenant, they tend to stay a long time with us. Now, why? Because if they take a property with us for a 6-month contract, and say 3 months down the line, they've changed jobs, all they do is, they contact our team and say, look, I want to move to this area. Have you got something available? And they start transferring around. So this is one real big benefit that Cloud Rooms offers. Now, before we go into how we convert exactly step by step, obviously today we have limited time, because you have all invested all your time to come and see me and listen. I want to give you a tool. I want to give you a tool today, so you can at least go away and look at this plan. If everyone can pull out your phone, please, and tap in cloudrooms.co.uk, you'll see a tab called HMOs. Now, if you just select that tab, you can download your 15-page step-by-step plan as to how you convert your property to HMO. Now, you can do that now, you can do it later, it's no problem. What I want to do is I want to tell you what is the market. Now, I started at the beginning saying that people think HMOs are for students, right? And when we think about students, we believe that they're going to trash the place, they're going to have parties, etc. so on and so. So who said they have HMO properties? Raise your hands. Have you got students in your HMO properties? Very good. You got students. Have they trashed the place yet? Very good. So you must be selecting the tenants really, really well. So this is what we do, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're renting rooms out, one of the two crucial things is finding the right tenant, and also at the same time, making sure that your occupancy is high, right? Because there's no point having a room, 4 rooms and 2 rooms empty, because then you're losing money, right? So these are the few things. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. If you get everything correct, you should end up with a higher return, right? Because the name of the game is, why are we landlords? We want to make money. We want to make friends. Yeah, cash flow, Some people invest into property because it's their pension. Some people invest because they want to make capital growth. Some people invest because they want that additional income, right? But at the end of the day, if we solve a problem in the market where everybody wins, you cannot go wrong. Now, let's look at who are the typical tenants, right? So it's actually single expats, young professionals, people in the mature market over 50s, and we have mature students as well. These are the typical tenants that we have in Cloud Rooms. Now, if we just look at the stats, young professionals, it's increased tenfold over the past 5 years. That's good news, right? In terms of expats, expat rentals are going higher than social housing. We can see this in the LHA, London housing allowance. They're staying very steady, whereas private rents are going up by 10, 15, 20%. Expats tend to pay the higher rates, which is good for us, right? We have over 50s, that market has grown by 239%, and so on. Now, it's all good news, right? The market is buoyant, you've got a good flow of tenants. I mean, a lot of people came to our stand today because they're specifically looking to understand how do you convert a property to a HMO. Let's look at the reasons, the two reasons. Now, the first reason I've already said, this gentleman has said, we're looking for money, right? We're looking for higher returns. Who wants higher returns? Everybody, right? At the end of the day, we want to get as maximum yield on our portfolio as possible because it increases our capital growth or the capital value of our property portfolio as well. So one is the higher rental income. But the second benefit, which often, if we really think about it properly, is the diversification of risk. Now, we all know these housing Section 21 notices, all of this stuff is changing, right? How difficult is it to keep up with the regulations? Who loves paperwork? Put your hands up. No, yeah. Oh, you love paperwork. Okay, so all this paperwork, all this regulation, it's really tiresome. It's really, this is one of the reasons why my friend just got out, 20 years ago. He's probably happy that he's not a landlord. Now, I'm a happy landlord because when you do something in terms of paperwork, once you've done it once, you know how to do it again, right? Now, when I asked you all to download, go to cloudrooms.co.uk, go to the HMO section, I've gone one step further to give you all the information about the 32 London boroughs. All the licensing information is actually on our website. So, for example, anyone here from Brent Council or got properties in Brent? Yeah, anyone from Redbridge? Anyone from, someone tell me where you're from, where your property is? Ealing? So it's all over, Walthamstow. So we have all the information there. So rather you go find it, we've put all the information there. So you can download that information as well, along with how to step-by-step convert it. Now the diversification of risk is really, really important. If you have one tenant in your property which you signed up for a 12-month period, that tenant fails to pay, how long does it take you on average to get rid of that tenant through the legal process? 1 year. Thank you very much. I just evicted a tenant in Liverpool. It took me more than a year, right? So we have to follow stringent procedures and et cetera, so and so. Now, in that 1 year, most of us have a mortgage, right? If you can't cover that mortgage, what happens? The tenant doesn't care, right? Your pocket is hurt, right? So when you convert a property to a HMO, now you have 4 tenants paying. How likely is it that all 4 tenants don't pay? The risk is lower, right? I mean, if you've got 4 tenants who don't pay, you must be doing a rubbish job, right? Selecting. Yeah? So this is the crucial part where you really do vet your tenants to make sure that they're the right fit to go into your property. These are the 2 reasons, main reasons. Now, you like that? Diversification of risk, right? I mean, I was a financial advisor before I started. I was trading on the stock markets. I was investing. I'm always diversifying things. So diversification is good, and higher rental income is good, right? Who doesn't want a higher rental income? Now, there's 2 routes for you to unlock your property into a HMO. Now, I think about 20% of landlords here have already taken the plunge. Now, what you will probably face is when you start getting 10 properties or more, 10 properties equals 40 rooms, you're going to end up managing 40 properties or 40 tenants. And then all of a sudden, your weekends are gone out the window, your holidays are gone out, and your wife is going to complain, or your husband's going to complain, or your partner's going to complain, what are you doing? And I fell into that trap a long time ago, so I changed. You can either do it, buy or convert, or we can immediately convert your HMO property within 7 days. Now, within 7 days, right? Now, how can we do it so fast? We will go through all the steps. I mean, we've got a team in place who've been doing it for years, and we've converted over 100 HMO locations. So we know the ins and outs, exactly how to set things up. Now, let's now scare you a bit as to, what's going to stop you, all these hurdles, regulation. Now, I love regulation. Now, you guys might not agree with me, but I actually like the fact that all these regulations are coming in. So just like last year, the smoke and monoxide alarm legislation change, it's all to make the property more safer, because you do not want to be a landlord who invests in a property and you have unhappy tenants and unsafe property. Who wants that? You want to sleep like a baby in the night, right? You want to know that you've got a property which is safe, secure, your tenants are happy, and they're happy to pay you on time, if not before, right? So this regulation means getting the licensing in place. Now, when you download the pack on the website, it will give you all the steps in terms of the regulation. and fire safety, etc. What you need to do. The full plan is there. So obviously the councils, all the councils, what I love about the regulation is it's good, it keeps all the bad landlords out, but at the same time, it's quite fragmented. So each council has different regulations, but pretty much they're similar in line. It's just a few changes here and there, like minimum room size, etc., how many people you can put in place. Now, that's the first hurdle. The turnover of tenants, right? If you have 4 tenancies running at the same time, obviously the tenants will not be moving in at the same time and moving out at the same time, right? Now, how do you manage all of that? At the turnover, the void period is where you start losing money. If, as a landlord, you do not maintain 90% occupancy, you will just about make the same amount of money that you will make as a whole let property, as in renting out to a single person. It's the void periods that kills you. Now, with cloud rooms, we've developed our IT systems in such a way that we achieved 99.1% occupancy rates last year. The year before that was about 98%. This year will probably come to 99.5%. How? And how do we do it? I'll explain a bit later about what the methods we deploy. But this is a key factor. The management of the contracts. As I said, I mean, this lady likes paperwork, right? Do you have all your tenancy agreements filed up? See, we like to use DocuSign. It's much easier, right? Who uses DocuSign? Let's save the earth, guys. Come on, yeah. So it's better to manage all the tenancies so you are well aware in advance when the tenancies expire. Now, if you've got 50 rooms, 10 properties, 12 properties, it becomes a bit of a headache, right? I mean, you might use Google Sheets or things like that to try and help you manage, but this becomes another burden. At the same time, maintenance, what you need to do when you are running a HMO property is you have to do active maintenance, not reactive maintenance. Now, a lot of landlords who have 1 or 2 properties will most likely do reactive maintenance. Tenant calls up, they go and fix it. When you do active maintenance and have a schedule in place, you avoid all these problems and mitigate all these risks, right? So you have to take care of that very, very well, because when you have 4 tenants in a property, you have 4 complaints in one go. Who wants complaints? No one? Very good, very good. And the lastly is the finances. You know, when you have 4 different incomes coming in, how do you manage the payments? I mean, your mortgage might go out at the beginning of the month, tenants might pay at the end. So you have to manage all these processes. Yeah? So these are the pitfalls or the things that you need to keep an eye on. Now, did I scare you guys? Who's scared? Who doesn't want to convert it to HMO? Who wants to convert to an HMO now? Okay. I think you guys don't want money. You're going to get 20% more as converting into a HMO. Now, it's very difficult for most people. For us, we do it in 7 days. And, you know, from the date we value your property and we've signed a contract, we can convert it within the 7 days. So you're not losing money in terms of waiting for licensings, etc. You know, we get a draft license issued from the council. So we can do it as quickly as 7 days. Now, why should you become cloud rooms? It says landlord there, but we've got a new term. Why do you want to be a cloud lord? Now, I'm a cloud lord, and I rented my first room back in 2003. There was a lady called Fiona. She was from Ireland. She just wanted to rent a room Monday to Friday, but she wanted to leave her stuff in the weekend. So she kept that room. She was our first cloud roomer. Don't you guys want cloud roomers in your properties? Or who wants to be a cloud lord? Sounds fancy, right? Cloud lord. So we've got all the processes in place over the past, let's say, it's developed really by me over the past 20 years. We've got all these systems in place which mitigate as many risks as possible. We've converted over 100 properties into HMOs, and the good news is we've got a verified tenant database. We register about 12,000 tenants every year. These are verified tenants who are really on the upper echelon of tenants, who are happy to pay the extra room prices. They're happy to pay because they're getting that service and that ability to move around, right? So these are some of the reasons why you should become cloud rooms cloud lord. Now, I'll just give a very simple example. If you've got a property, say 4 bed, 5-room property, you will earn typically, I'm just giving you an average price, £2,500 rental a month. With us, just to give you an example, you'll probably end up earning 3,000. Now, you might say, where do we make our money, right? We have enough margin on the top because our tenant database, first, is very loyal. And secondly, the prices that they pay 10 to 15% more what the market room rental prices are because they're happy to pay for that sort of hotel cloud room standard. Now, if you go to our website, you can see there's some case studies which will show you before and after, and you can see the difference, big difference into how the properties change. I'd like to invite all of you. I would like to be your tenant. Does anyone want to take me as a tenant today? I mean, I won't physically live there. No? Anyone? Okay. I'd love to come into your property. Invite London's best new tenant into your property. We will convert your property to a HMO for free, and we will guarantee your tenant your rental from day one. We will be your sole tenant. Now, I would advise all landlords to explore this route because definitely this is the way the market is going. The sharing economy is booming. We just need to look at Uber, Airbnb. We need to look at prices of Ryanair, EasyJet, how low they are. Because of COVID, people just want to move around. People just want opportunities in life. This market is growing, and you do not want to miss the boat because as the regulations get tougher and tougher, there'll be quotas and tariffs on councils to how many HMOs they will allow. So therefore, the time to act is now. As we can see, so much regulation is changing. It's best to start thinking about this route now. We will, depending on the contract, we will take the cost of converting your property to a HMO, from the licensing cost to fire doors, fire alarm. We will take all of that cost on you, from you. So you are not burdened with an outlay of capital that you need to spend. It's depending on the contract. Obviously, if you say, Bux, I've had enough, take my property, I want to give it to you for 5 years, what can you give me? We will come in, value, and say, this is how much we can give you. We'll take care of all the paperwork for you. Sounds like a good deal, right? Yeah. So I think you guys want to be my friend and give me your properties, right? Just like my friend did 20 years ago. So that's it, really. I want to give you the chance. I think everybody's got the website details. I think Raj, my colleague, is going to announce some winners. A few people. Who plays golf here? Yeah, I think everyone's, I think, done a little bit of a golf. If you haven't, after the seminar, you can come to our stand. We're right near the food hall. You can play a bit of golf. There's a few things that we're giving away. And I would like to open the floor to some questions. And I'd like you to please keep the questions towards HMOs and how the conversions take place. You can fire away. I will give you the best possible advice. In terms of legal advice as to what you need to do, all the guidance is there. But again, this is guidance, as I'm not a lawyer. I was a financial advisor, but I'm not qualified as in to practice anymore. But I can give you the best sort of advice with disclaimers. So does anyone have any questions in terms of what we spoke about today? So we cover the whole of London. Now, so again, accidentally, one of my friends, he's in the back, his name is Martijn from Netherlands. He sold his medical technology business, and his funders just pumped in money to cloud rooms to grow the network all around the country. So we'll be opening branches in Manchester first, Birmingham, all the major cities. So we give that benefit to landlords and tenants who want to move around. And hopefully, maybe some European cities as well, because that's the plan, to build that network, because no one is actually professionalizing this offering. The market is so fragmented that no one has really thought about this properly. So.
Are you doing anything in India?
Sorry?
Are you going to do anything in India?
India is a big population, right? So it's like 1.2 billion or something like that. But this model,
big city.
Right? So this model works in every major city in the world. And I've done research on this. Yeah? Whichever city you go to in a country, there's people who are room sharing. Now, the UK has only regulated it since 2018, as in you have to have licenses. Before that, it wasn't regulated. So in Dubai, we have rooms as well, but it's not regulated. Slowly, the market will start maturing all over, and then the regulations will kick in. So it's really good to keep a good standard framework, as in keep standards, And yes, definitely it's a market that we'll look into, but I don't think now we'll have to conquer Europe first. You have properties. You really want to be a cloud lord, don't you? Yeah? Yes, sir. Do you have access to see your property once it's... Of course, because we have even more of an interest to make sure that the tenants are really good and take care of your property, because we're paying you, we want them to pay us, right? So you have access to your property. We give quarterly inspections, and obviously we have to give the notice to tenants. The communal areas, we can go in at any time, and then we're doing weekly cleaning, bi-weekly cleaning services as well. So a lot of the times, some landlords come to us, they don't have the money to refurb the property. So we will look at it and say, okay, you know what? We'll take you on for 5 years. We'll pay you slightly lower market rate. We'll do the refurb for you. We'll have your property for 5 years. So we'll invest into your property as well. We've done that many, many times as well. Yeah, it's part of it's case by case. So, you know, if we go and value your property and you want to give you on for 5 years, you know, we'll throw you a champagne bottle as well. Like some of you've got champagne bottles or some wine today, right? Yes, sir. Yeah, so as I said, we do active maintenance. Major stuff like boilers and, you know, gas, electric heating, those stuff the landlord covers. Now we have on our contracts, if we can't get a hold of you within 24 hours, we're just going to do it anyway. But because we're doing it in volume, it's obviously not extortionate, right? So we'll put that into place because at the end of the day, we have to give a service to your tenants. If you're on holiday in the Bahamas, we can't get a hold of you, and your emergency contacts, we're just going to have to do it anyway. And that shouldn't be a problem. It hasn't been a problem with us. Did you have a question, sir? Oh, you had a question? Oh, to find the tenants. Where do we get the tenants from? So a lot of it comes from referrals, and a lot of it comes from portals such as we do Zoopla advertising, Spare Room, Gumtree. There is Uniplaces. There's probably about 15 different portals that we're working with, but all that information amalgamates into one system, central system, and then we have teams managing. Basically, we have tenants waiting all the time. Are you thinking about finding tenants yourself? Okay. Yes, sir.
Is there any special contract AST or the HMO?
Oh, so we have a service level contract with yourself, which says that we become your tenant, we take you on for a period of time, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years, and then we pay you the fixed amount each month. Now, we also, like, I know landlords, sometimes situation changes, right? You want to sell your property and you've signed up with 5 years. There'll be clauses in there which lets you get out of the contract, obviously with some severance fees so that we cover our costs. And these are all case by case. You know, it's not a standard thing that we say this is what our contract is. We look at your portfolio and we start looking at, I finished my time. I'm not finished. Sorry, guys. One more question. I mean, there's no one else waiting. Would we take on a property? No. No. What we'll do is that room, which is minimum, which doesn't fall under the minimum criteria, we'll use that as a cumulative space and push the price up on the other rooms. Every space is used. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. If you want more information, I'm going to be at the stand. It's just around the corner where the food hall is, and we can have a chat. Thank you very much.